Carl, this is an interesting podcast, man.
Absolutely epic time in Toronto, man. I came down to work today. I knew there was a parade. I knew some friends were coming down, but I didn't. I totally underestimated what was going to happen today.
Oh, it's crazy. And
it was fucking unreal.
Do you smell that actually?
What's that? Championship?
Championship air.
Oh,
that smells like championship air. You know what that smells like? Some cigarettes, some $10 champagne,
cigars,
a little bit of chronic because it's legal in Canada.
Yep.
Mix it all again with emotions and people. A little bit of sweat. Pretty damn hot out there today, but it smells like a championship.
I saw a plant guy today who was right in front of me.
He gave Kawhi his quactus.
It was really cool, man.
Kawhi actually loved it.
I'll be honest. I never looked at the market. I didn't look at my holdings today until
what market?
After 4:00.
What market?
Yeah. So
today is Toronto Day. It's the Raptor Day.
The marketers.
Not Toronto Day. Canada Day.
See how there's no Toronto on this hat?
Yeah. No. I correct myself.
They did it.
Canada's Day.
They did it really strategic, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
They left Toronto off a lot of the merchandise because they know Canada's gonna pick it up, but people in Saskatchewan don't want a Toronto hat.
No, anyway, I loved it, man. That was.
What was your favorite part? What was your favorite part of this run?
Game 7, the shot.
Game 6, the shot.
Nope, Game 7, the shot.
Yes,
did not
against
a Raptors fan.
Against Philly.
Against Philly. Yeah. That was the best shot Toronto has ever made in the history of our franchise, and I've never screamed louder than after that shot.
Yeah.
I don't think Kawhi has ever screamed louder than after that shot. But definitely that moment. But there's a lot of them. There's at least a half a dozen amazing moments because
I'm a fun guy.
Yeah.
Kawhi's a fun guy.
Yo, it was such a fun run. I mean, what are we into now? Mid-June.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't understand. I didn't know sports existed in mid-June.
Let me ask you a
question. I'm a
question.
Toronto fan.
Do you think the parade today and the crowds would be bigger or more energy if the Leafs won or the Raptors?
Normally I would say the Leafs, but I think we have really converted a lot of people into Raptors fans, and we have a very, very strong following of a lot of the ethnicities that come into Canada.
I agree with
are
this.
Massive in basketball. I don't quite know that they're the same feeling for the Toronto Maple Leafs for hockey.
Yeah, it's a really good point, man.
And they're all behind the Raptors. I love it. Brampton Mans, you know where you are. You love that basketball. My goodness.
What about the Scarborough Man?
Scarborough Man, same thing. I remember you two, fam. Both of them. But just in general, though, honestly, a lot of people newer to the country, I think, have taken to basketball more than they've taken to hockey.
Basketball's, it's a cheaper sport to play.
Yeah.
Right?
What could be? You play it everywhere.
Yeah,
you just go to a random street.
It was crazy.
It's a lot easier than hockey.
There was over 2 million people in the city today celebrating one thing. Like, people didn't go to work. I've never had a drive in to the office today that was so easy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, the parade. I'm probably not gonna have. Why did I drive today? And then I literally had no traffic, Brandon.
Oh, I don't get it.
How does that even
Everyone
happen?
stayed home. John Tory gave everyone the day off. He proclaimed this to be Raptors Day.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. He even signed off on it. He proclaimed that today is National Toronto Raptors Day.
We the North Day.
I actually got something here. I wonder if I don't pull up my computer, but I think I've got the actual notice in one of the chat rooms. Someone threw it in there. Yeah, here it is. The proclamation is We the North Day, June 17th, 2019. Which is today.
June 17th.
June 17th.
My lucky number.
Yeah, so...
my favorite number.
So yeah, John Tory might have got a lot of people off, but I don't think people really went to work. There was more... There was more than 5% or 7% of our entire population of Canada in Toronto
right
today.
Outside, listen, friends.
It was crazy.
You step outside our office, and it's just people everywhere.
Oh, it's nuts.
Crazy.
So we
could walk back and forth to give people an understanding of all of those images that you see today with just massive people on the roads. I could walk in and out of that crowd and be in the office within 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's how close we are.
Yeah, no, I know. It's nuts. And by the way, the formal part of this, we do have 2 interviews that are going to be aired today. The first one being Arnaud Dumas Durali. He's the co-founder and co-CEO of the Blink Group. A lot of vapes. Co-CEO.
Wow, we should be co-CEOs.
Oh, I know. There you go. It'd be a lot easier. Then you can just blame the CEO. He's going to be coming on a lot of products in the vape market, but he's the full way through. So he sources out the actual vape content and cartridges, where, according to him, many other companies out there are just doing after the fact, just grabbing the product from other people. So I'll let him go through his company and let you know a little bit more about them. And we also had Zenabis. Will be on the show today as well. Andrew Grieve, he is the CEO. He took a lot of different questions that we had from investors, spoke about his company, spoke about the share price. The share price has really come down over the last 12 months or so. He believes this provides a great opportunity for investors getting at this space and their capacity. He goes through why he believes that's an opportunity as well. So stay tuned for that. You can just look at the description. If you don't like Raptors, that's okay. You're probably a Golden State fan. If you don't like the Raptors, you can just skip ahead to those interviews and check them out. Both CEOs did a great job.
Stop whining.
Yeah.
I'm not whining at all. I'm just telling the people what it is. You need to learn how to use those buttons.
Zenabis was actually really influential in Follow the Money, and they have no idea. Maybe you don't even know.
Probably not.
I'll tell the story at a later date.
Fair enough. I never asked you, what is your favorite Toronto Raptors memory? And you can only say the finals because you don't really care until the finals. This is your words, not mine. What was your favorite finals moment?
It has to be the shot.
Still sticking with the
I
shot.
never. I asked you the question. I never thought about it, and so I'm thinking about what would beat that moment. And obviously, the actual when the game 6 was over. I mean, that's a crazy moment. But I have this visual of Drake, and he's just doing that. You know that.
Fix your mic for you.
You know that that shot where he's just like losing it like that. Like we were talking about this before. I don't understand all the hate for Drake. This guy is a legit fan. He's a diehard Toronto guy. He's a diehard Raptors fan, and he's done brilliant things for that for the Raptors in Canada. And you can just tell it's not fake with the guy.
Oh no,
it's not fake. He's there. He loves it.
I'm doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm just not worth hundreds of millions of dollars and
He's
sitting
got
front
his
court.
own plane. He's got his own plane.
Yeah.
The players came back on the plane with him. Anyway,
Does Kawhi stay?
fuck. I got no read, man. I got no read on this guy at all, man.
Hear me now.
Look,
he will
it makes
stay.
sense. 2-year contract, or maybe a 3-year contract, depending on what structure makes most sense for him. But if he signs a 3-year, there should be an opt out in 2 years.
Yeah.
But I think for sure, if you're this team and you're Kawhi and you want to go to LA, I think you can wait a little bit. This is very special, a very special thing happening here. You give it another year or two, and then you see you later.
Yeah,
but you never know with these NBA guys, man. They collude together.
Yeah.
During the summer, and they really kind of do say, listen, let's go over here, let's get together, and let's go win a championship over here. And there's 3 or 4 different teams that do it, and they're always in the run.
Yeah.
So I'm just so happy. I was skeptical going into this run. I really was. I told you I'm not getting into it until the conference final, and I really didn't see us winning a championship, Brendan. I got to be honest with you. I didn't.
Do you have no faith?
It exceeded
Ye
my.
have no faith.
I have faith, but I just didn't. I don't like the NBA per se because of how the players colluded. I don't think there's enough talent to go in there but no, listen, I had low expectations, man, and they were blown out of the water. So it's been super fun for me. When you have low expectations, right? It's like it's an easier ride.
No, fair enough. Well, before we continue this talk, we're going to jump over to the interview with the Blink Group. We sat down with Arnaud Dumas-Duraly, the co-founder and co-CEO, talk about his company. I thought it was quite unique, but to learn more, you've got to watch. It's really easy because it's going to happen right now. And we're joined here today with a gentleman and a company we have not had our platform before. We're here with Arnaud Dumas-Duraly. You are the co-founder and co-CEO of the Blink Group, the sign right behind me. My good man, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. And for yourself, you were a private company, and you do have a private placement that is currently going. I'm just saying that off the hop, so if anyone's watching this and you're interested in what you're hearing, we'll talk more later on how you can look into that a little bit more if it's a possible investment for you. But to dive right into who you are and what your company is, just a little bit of a background, as it is the first time our investors have been introduced to your group.
Perfect. Well, really, basically, we are a completely ancillary company. We are not plant touching in the cannabis industry. We have 10 years of experience in the vaping space. So traditionally coming from nicotine vaping and transitioning over to cannabis. Now all of our business is cannabis vaping. And we've created what we call the vaping equation that will allow us to model all of the entire vaporization process. With that being said, servicing our customers, so whether they're MSOs in the US, LPs in Canada, we are able to not only provide the hardware, but also create it. And that's something using our 10 years of experience in manufacturing vaping products. We actually have a team on the ground in China. There's a former quality control manager of IKEA, the former quality assurance manager of Lowe's and Home Depot, who take care of all of our quality issues. We also are the only manufacturers that actually control the entire supply chain. We bring a list of suppliers to the factories and don't allow the factories to just go randomly find their own suppliers. In addition to that, we're also able to provide ancillary services, so formulation for your concentrates or your oils, SOPs in terms of operations for filling, for capping. We're also even able to go all the way to the merchandising side just before retail and go train the bud tenders and train the end users on how to use the product.
Yeah, and that's really important as well because it's like you said, you mentioned something very important there where a lot of people, they'll get either their product or they'll get this white label product, the actual vape pen or whatever have you from anywhere in the world, but they're not actually understanding sometimes what is the actual process going into that. You could be told certain things and what have you, but you never fully know unless you're the one behind actually creating it or you're the one behind the actual standards behind it. And speaking on standards, the reason I bring that up as well is that, talking just before we started this, you were talking about your experience. This company that you're currently having, the Blink Group, has been running for roughly about 2 years, but you spent more time in this industry yourself and actually are on a few boards, if I'm not mistaken. Can you talk a little bit more about your experience?
Sure. I'm chairman of the ISO standards on vaping products. It's kind of like running an association where you have to have 20 members to agree to the same thing, except with ISO, it's 126 different countries that have to agree to the same standards. So I'm also chairman of the European Commission Standard Committee on Vaping Products. So that's just, having been in this space for 10 years, I'm considered a dinosaur in our industry, and just bring all of that experience to also help with standardization, which in turn helps with regulation and all the efforts of providing a safe product out there for end users.
Yeah, absolutely, and that is important, especially when you come to vape pens. I've whether it be through the gray or black market, whatever you want to call it, or whether you look into the legal market in the United States, there's a lot of products that are coming from a lot of different countries. And I've heard numerous stories of great products and products where people are like, yeah, I would never put my product into that pen. So it is an interesting area that I don't think many people realize. They just grab a pen and start going. There's a lot more to it.
Well, especially when you see that this year we're reaching 50% of cannabis sales come from concentrates. Wow. That the only delivery mechanism is the hardware that we have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when it comes to selling your product, so one thing that I'm not sure many investors know, obviously, if you're strictly ancillary products, you are allowed moving across the states. When it's an actual compound, that's when you're blocked from state to state. How many states are you planning or already are operating in? And do you have any plans of coming over to Canada globally? A little bit of a background on that area of your business, if you don't mind.
All right. So our business and our customer segment is basically layered in 3 layers. Number 1 is enterprise solutions. That's where we work with big multi-state operators in the US or Canadian LPs. We actually have both types of clients today. The enterprise solutions market is, you can think of it as like Hewlett-Packard Enterprise Solutions. yeah, sure, we're going to be providing the hardware, but we're also providing a whole bunch of services. So the companies and the MSOs and LPs who we provide enterprise solutions to are very good at growing and retailing. They don't necessarily want to have to deal with everything in the middle. So that's where we come in and help all the way from formulation down to merchandising, where we actually have our people go into dispensaries and train the bud tenders on the 10 frequently asked questions about the devices or how they work. And in between there's everything involved in operations. So creating SOPs for capping, for filling, providing capping machines, providing filling machines. It's basically the entire chain of vaping that is not touching the oil.
Very interesting. And yeah, and like you said, 50%, that's a huge number. I didn't know it was that high. But
that's the enterprise solutions market.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the middle market, where I have to say is the only area where we have competitors. That's where we're competing against the traditional resellers that buy a lot of product from China and just resell it here. That middle market is a processor, is a brand who says, I want this cartridge customized with my colors and my logo. So that is really where the competition is. On the enterprise solutions, we have zero competition. And our third level of business is the CPG market. We have our own brand with a few lines of products that we're selling on the C-store segment. So that is really only the batteries, of course, and people going into a gas station say, hey, I have a card, I need a battery, where can I get it? He's going to be happy to find it at his local gas station.
Very interesting. And just I was saying just a moment ago, it's amazing that this is 50% where people are going to get their cannabis. And it does make sense because a lot of people, they don't want to light and combust the flower. That is a carcinogen. It's much harsher on your lungs than say a vaporizer. We've known that for quite some time, but now it's becoming much more mainstream as the method in which people are looking to consume their cannabis, whether it be recreational, medical, or somewhere in between. So it's very interesting.
Like New York or Florida, on the entire medical marijuana market, they're only allowed to vape for the same reasons you just gave us.
No, exactly. And it makes sense. And yet in Canada, we have it a little bit backwards, but we'll see what happens come October 17th, of course. But when it comes to looking into your company a little bit more, and as I said at the top of this interview as well, you do have a private placement going on as a private company. Where can someone look into more into your company, but also possibly look into that private placement if this is something that that they feel is an investment they want to look more into?
I think the easiest route is sending an email to investorrelations@theblinkgroup.com, and you'll be greeted by our team, who will provide you all the documents you need. An even easier email address, if you're interested, I'll give you is adr@theblinkgroup.com.
Perfect. Well, my good man, thank you very much for coming on the show and taking time out of your day to talk about your company. Love the different elements of the vape market that you're covering. I'm very curious to see the developments as they come to fruition, and the potential going public in the near future as well. So looking forward to having you on to talk about these developments and all these things again in the coming weeks or months. And I just hope you have a great next time. And for everyone who is watching, replay if you forgot the email already, because you can go on there and find out more information.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Take care. And thank you very much, Arnaud, for coming on the show. Vapes are going to be really big. We got legalization in Canada coming up and all that as well. So it's a big market. He's talking about, complete from the very beginning to the very end, having the product. He believes it's a superior product.
They got to get the vapes into the market, man, because I vape, and unfortunately I go to a dispensary to get my stuff because I can't get it legally. Yeah. I'm just waiting for it. I'm waiting for the brands, the strains, the reviews. I love it. I can't wait.
Yeah. Now, I got a question for you. Why are you currently talking with your hands by your lap?
Because I was told off during the last break there. I
don't know.
I use my hands a lot, and you're like, I can't watch our podcast without hearing you stomp the table.
Because if you're pounding, just thud, 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 and it's kind of like you're almost punching people with your thoughts. I love it. So now he's going to come in, just sit on your hands. This is kindergarten. Sit on your hands and start talking.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can beat me without that, but hey, we'll try.
Yeah, no. So, but yeah, no. Going back in Kawhi, people are wondering, more Raptors. Absolutely, more Raptors. We just fucking won a championship. Give me a couple more weeks before I have to realize whether Kawhi's going to stay or not. But if you look at it though, so you think it's going to be 2 years. I think it's going to be either 1 year or 2 years. I strongly do think he stays. Look at the atmosphere. He is absolutely loved. He knows he's got a medical team that'll actually listen to him and take care of him.
But hold on a second, because I think you're right. But now he has a proven formula. So I mean, other teams are going to be like, wait a second, maybe that's what we should do. Like, if you want to get Kawhi, you're going to maintenance the guy the way he wants now. He just won a championship after sitting how many games? 20 games?
More than that. It's like 25.
Yeah, so that is a lot of games, right? Yeah. But he won a championship, and he was a fucking beast all playoffs. The guy didn't break down at all. He battled a couple of minor injuries, so like at the end of the day...
he was hurt. No, he was hurt.
I know, but like that happens. But what I'm saying is you didn't see the fatigue in his body. He might have, he could have had a sprained ankle or a rolled ankle or whatever the fuck, but his body was there. His energy was there. He wasn't a warm player.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy about this is that this will change the NBA. This win by the Raptors and just everything to do with it will change the NBA. I was reading a really great article that said this is one of the most historic wins of all time because of what transpired during it. We spoke a little bit on our last podcast. Did we? I don't know if we did actually. But the fact that no team has ever won 3 road games in the finals ever. You go against the 2-time NBA champs, probably the greatest team that the NBA has seen since the 2000-2001 Lake Show. You've got all the different things that the Kawhi did throughout this run and all the different aspects of that. But one of the biggest things I wasn't really thinking of is that the highest drafted person on the Toronto Raptors was Kawhi Leonard at 15 or 16. I want to say 15.
Yeah.
Highest.
Top 5.
So we did not have to go out and get all these crazy people in the number 1s, number 2, whatever. You can build a team.
Quietly built a team.
We obviously quietly won a championship too.
Yeah.
But to go on that point though, we also never tanked. We were just actually that bad for that many years. But this goes against these teams that are tanking. And Adam Silver must love it because these teams are tanking to constantly get the number 1s. Ask the Timberwolves how that went.
No, I was so impressed.
Ask these other teams that have tanked and didn't get who they wanted.
There's no other player that's a better example than Van Vliet.
Undrafted.
Yeah, it's not even
undrafted.
But not only undrafted, but like performer in the playoffs. Yeah. The guy was we wouldn't have won a championship without him.
I think it's arguable, yeah, because he was one of the biggest reasons, in my opinion, of coming back out of that 0-2 hole against the Bucks.
How many times, if you're at home watching this and you're like, I know what Carl's talking about. How many times did you see him hit clutch threes? We're like, we need a 3 right now to get back in it to stay it so the lead's not 2 or whatever. Or maybe
he iced game 3 or 4. He iced it when they were down by 10. Golden State was making a run. He just really hard 3.
That one.
Put him up by 13, and they took everyone off.
He had a huge. He's a little bit of a shorter guy for NBA standards, and he had a huge hand in his face. He stepped back and arced it in. Yeah. Like the guy was on fire, undrafted. Yeah. He's a great
Daddy Van Vliet. Keep having kids, buddy. Yeah. Keep having kids. That's obviously not why you're that good, but that's what we're drawing here from. So, but no. But there were so many different elements around this, and then the fact that it's outside of Canada, outside the United States. Adam Silver loves that because he's trying to build a global brand. So he's also showing that teams outside of America, outside the United States, can win as well. There's a lot of different things. This article was really well written. It was on Sportsnet, I think.
Like to read it, man.
It was really, really cool. So anyway, they were just going over why this is special. And you know what? There will be an asterisk. I hate the fact that there will be, but there is. KD going down. Clay going down. No, not having
Clay went down late.
I know, but they also went Game 3 without him. Again, so it was Game 3 that Van Vliet iced. There's going to be those things, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now, no one's going to care. You look at the fact that you had to go through 2 amazing teams. Orlando, not so much, but you had to go. Yeah. Philly is a damn good team, Milwaukee. And the Bucks are an incredible team. Yeah. Truly, the Bucks were the better team in the East. I really did think that going into the playoffs. But the Raptors found out how to contain why they were the best.
That was
they contained
that series.
Giannis.
I remember that was over May 2-4 when the Bucks went up 2 games. They won the first 2 games in Toronto. Then we went back.
No, because they had the home court advantage because they were number 1 in the East.
Okay, so they swept us in their building,
and then we went 4-0,
and then came back here. We swept them, and then we went back to their building with momentum, took it back, came back home, and iced it. Yeah, it was a great run, man.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. So that's why we keep talking about this because one, it's huge for
don't
Toronto.
Worry. We'll be back to the markets tomorrow.
It's huge for Canada, and you know what? This is like the night of the celebration.
Oh, Brandon was fucking. This guy's got some crazy footage. I should have played your footage of you on top of the trailer.
If you're a personal friend of mine, you can go on to my my Facebook and see the video of the champagne on top of the truck. Yeah. I have never publicly displayed that much emotion, or I don't think I have since I was a teenager, or even probably a child. So that was the best moment I've had in so many years.
Because I am like 5 years older than you. I know what that's like. I fucked up. My buddies and I came here. We were at the office for that one game, and we didn't win it at home. And then for some reason, the day of, one of my more influential buddies who has a nice house and backyard and TVs everywhere was like, Carl, like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but I think I'm going to host it at my house tonight. I was like, fuck, I want to watch it with my friends. You know what I mean? Like, but I am like, yo, if they win, you idiots are going to want to be downtown, right? So so first of all, Tony Streams, a buddy of mine, has all the nicest shit and cheaps out and doesn't have cable. So he missed the fucking first quarter of the game because the stream was down, right? So then finally he's like, well, it's working downstairs, 75-inch TV. So we go downstairs. Raptors win, and we're like, why are we not downtown right now? Like, why? Why did that happen?
Luke, if you're watching,
I know the parade was good.
I told you.
Yeah, Luke, listen to him.
He almost stayed home.
Oh, fuck.
He almost stayed home.
Dude.
I made him come, and so did my brother.
A part of me is like, like, I'm kind of glad I didn't get into the crowds. But the reality is our office is in a mint spot. So if you want to get away from the crowd and come in and be safe in the office, you can do that. Yeah. Right? We had it perfect. Parking right there. We fucked up.
Greatest sporting moment of my entire life. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it so you feel better. It was the best thing ever.
I know, and I was happy for you, Brandon. I saw your videos coming in. I'm driving home on the 401 from Ajax, and and I'm like, Brandon's having a great time. I should be there. But I was down here when the Leafs didn't win, but they went pretty deep into the Eastern Conference Final. Sprayed it, painted my car, Maple Leaf car, and all that. Drove it down, and we used to get on top of light poles and tractor trailers. So I do know what that's like, but it's not the same.
Yeah. No, it was a good time.
Let's go to the last interview.
Yeah, go to the last interview. Before that, though, we have to reel a little bit of financial stuff into here, other than the financials of Kawhi's contract that he's going to sign with Toronto soon. It was actually a pretty nuts day for some of these companies, actually. I'm pretty sure today definitely did affect volumes because there's at least 5 to 8% of Canada in Toronto alone, let alone how many people are at home watching it at work, whatever. So I bet you it did affect volumes. But there were some notable movers for today. Indiva was up 7%. Not too bad, Indiva. There was one really bad red one here. Where'd it go? I can't find it. Harvest one down 6% off some volume there. Where was the one that was really standing out to me? Westleaf. Westleaf had 700,000 shares traded today, which is higher from what they've normally done, from my understanding. They're up 25.3%. They were just on the show just recently. Not even a dead cat bounce. It's more so the fact of it. I believe it was really, really oversold if you're looking at it from a charting. But even for the people who are like, "Oh, charting's for fools, don't chart." Just in general.
Well, I mean, it was under the last PP.
Private, was there at like 50 cents?
You know what company I feel, and this is again not advice. It's a company that I own and I am underwater. You know which one I feel is kind of similar? Is Floratech. Test. Yeah,
that's been inching up.
It's been inching under up. The PP, the last PP that was 50 cents is around 35 cents. Has no volume and people are waiting for sales.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's like, fuck, come on.
RNX, they were up 11%, just shy of 11%, off of 7.6 million shares traded. So it's not like it was a small day. They had news today and they were ripping off of that news. TIG, Triumph Gold. We just had them in last week. Tony is the most animated
I watched that interview 3 times.
Geo, I think I've heard, like, don't get me wrong, Lightfoot's very animated, not so much animated, but you can tell the passion.
No,
and
Lightfoot and Tony
there's a lot of it. When he was going, I couldn't stop laughing just because, like, he made me excited, and I'm trying very hard to be professional and not show bias.
Mining needs that, man. It's good.
So
for
he
Tony.
loved it.
Good for Triumph.
Yeah, they're up 9.5%. So that's fantastic to see. And just a few runners here. GCX is up 9%. So a couple of good runners.
Can we talk about the markets tomorrow?
I'll keep talking about Raptors. Although before we wind it up here, we are going to go over to Zenabis. Zenabis, we had CEO Andrew Grieve. We did interview Zenabis earlier, so if you want to go to FTMIG.com, if you like this interview and want to learn more, we did do an interview, I think, in November when we were in Nevada, in Vegas for MJ Biz Conference. That was with their old CEO. There's now a new CEO, gentleman I just mentioned, Andrew Grieve. And there's been a lot of changes in the company. Obviously, they did not have the capacity they had before. When they're said and done by third quarter this year, if my memory serves me correctly right now, my notes are here, but I'm not reading them well enough or fast enough, 331,000 kilograms a year in capacity for a $300 million market cap company. Their share price has really come down over the last year. You can just see it go all the way down. And I asked that question, and it was I personally believe that he answered it in a good way, and then went over why he believes this is an opportunity coming up. That's not for me to decide. That's not for Carl to decide. That is for you to decide, and you can do that partially by watching this. And we are joined today by Andrew Grieve. You are the CEO of Zenabis. My good sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Now, we have had Zenabis on in the past. This was late last year. I believe we had Rick on the show. There's been a lot of changes since that time. So what I thought we'd start off by going through, you've been in the job now for about 5 months in the CEO position. A lot of different things have happened in the last little while. Can you update investors on who Zenabis is and what you're doing in the cannabis space?
Absolutely. At the time that Rick was on, we had not yet completed the merger between Sun Farm and Bevo to create Zenabis. And so it was still a business where there was a separate indoor licensed producer in Sun Farm and then the public propagation and floral business in Bevo. At that time, the combined businesses would have had 2 licensed facilities and 5 facilities in total. We now have 3 licensed facilities, 6 facilities in total. We'll have a 4th licensed facility shortly in Langley. At the time the amalgamation was completed, we had approximately 5 tons of capacity as a licensed producer. And by the end of the third quarter, we'll have 130 tons of licensed capacity. So we've really embarked on an amazing transformation as a business. It's been an amazing period of growth. And by the end of the third quarter, we will be a very meaningful producer of cannabis in Canada. We also went from a position of having a couple of domestic supply arrangements and relationships with provinces in Canada as of October to being in a position now where we have 8 provincial counterparties, 1 territorial counterparty, and we really should be in every province by the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, and 131,000 kilograms of cannabis in a year that's a very, very large amount. There aren't that many LPs out there that are above 100,000, so that's a significant amount of potential income coming the next little while. And I was looking, I believe you're currently sitting at around 300 million market cap, which is also very different from different producers that are out there that have anywhere near that type of capacity. With that being said, when you look at the share price over the course of the year, there has been a depreciation of the share price coming down to this level now, sitting at, like I said, I think it was about 300 million or something like that for the market cap. Do you know why or possible reasons it may have had that? And do you feel that this could actually be an opportunity for newer investors, given the fact that you do have this large amount of capacity coming online as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that what occurred is previously to the merger being completed, the amalgamation being completed between Sun Farm and Bevo to create Zenabis, the stock was thinly traded and the valuation moved up quickly once a certain limited number of people understood the potential of the business. But thus far, from a capital market standpoint, we've only had limited research coverage. And as a result, we really don't think that our story has gotten out there. And so there really is a situation where we haven't yet been able to speak to the entire market, talk to them about our story, tell the story of the fact that we're one of the only national producers. We have international agreements and we'll be an international producer as well. And from a cultivation standpoint, not only will we have meaningful cultivation capacity, but we're actually taking the approach where we're telling people what we're producing every month. We're telling people how we're performing relative to our design capacity. And every single month, we're reporting that we're beating our design capacity. So when you look at the last month, we actually had one harvest that was more than 50% over our design capacity. And we think, at least in our Atholville facility, we'll be able to achieve those numbers long term. So that 34,000 kilogram facility in Atholville, to the extent we perform at the peak levels that we've been performing at, is actually a 50,000 kilogram facility. So we could be at 150,000 kilograms of capacity rather than 130,000 kilograms of capacity by the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, very interesting. And yeah, it has been very interesting talking to the various different companies where a lot of projections went out, and some companies are meeting them, some are unfortunately not meeting them, and then others are exceeding them as well. So very interesting to hear that you believe that that may actually be the case. You may actually exceed what you originally thought in that facility. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, we really have been exceeding our design capacity at that facility. And even for this month as well, we indicated when we put out our Q1 financials that thus far, at that point in time in May, we were again 28% over design capacity for the month of May on the harvest that we had thus far. And so we really are outperforming, but we're being transparent about our performance in general, and we're being transparent about our outperformance.
Very nice, and good to hear. Now, you also said that you have international agreements as well. And one of the advantages many people have recognized, and because it's true, a Canadian company can be very global, whereas a lot of these MSOs and United States companies, although it's a massive market in the United States regardless, that's one of the areas, unfortunately, they can't necessarily partake in right now due to federal law. When it comes to Zenabis and internationally, what is it that you're doing right now on that front? And do you see that being a very large part of your business moving forward?
We absolutely expect that to be a very large part of our business moving forward. We announced recently that we'd entered into a binding supply agreement to distribute product into Germany, and we expect to be shipping through a joint venture facility in Malta by the fourth quarter of 2019. We see very significant demand from the European market, and so we really expect that the European market will be a very significant component of our business in 2020 and going forward.
Very nice. And there's a couple other things actually coming back into these borders, staying in Canada right now, that I found very interesting. You're also working with the First Nations, and that's something that you don't hear too often. What does that mean to your company, and how did that come to be?
Our First Nations relationships are very important to us. So we have 3 First Nations that are investors in the business: the Listigouche First Nation, the Millbrook First Nation, and the Songhees First Nation. We employ members of the Listigouche First Nation at our facility in Atholville. And really this comes back to one of our core values, which is delivery of stakeholder value. And stakeholders are not simply shareholders. Stakeholders are employees as well, our customers, and then also members of the community. And for us, the First Nations are really key members of the communities where we operate, which is why we have First Nations participation in every province where we operate. So New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and British Columbia, we have First Nations investors in our business, and we believe that First Nations are partners, and we really do see them as key members of our team going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's been a story for some companies, especially when you've got First Nations on your side and being able to work alongside them. I know a lot of people look at that very favorably because there's a lot of advantages that come from there, but just in general, it's very important we continue to have First Nations a part of all of our business dealings in Canada, as it's just rightfully so. So no, it's very good to hear that. When it comes to We're now in Q2 of this year. It's amazing how quickly this is going by. For the remainder of the year and going into next year, what are you most excited about for your company? What should investors really be looking into as Zenabis continues moving forward in this ever-changing cannabis landscape?
I think the most exciting things to look at are really value-added products and the international markets. I think that international markets are key. If the cannabis business or the cannabis industry was constrained to Canada, then it would be a very interesting opportunity, but not one that deserved the level of attention that it's receiving now. But really, cannabis is going to be a global industry, and we really do see more and more countries recognizing the value of cannabis, the benefits of cannabis, and we expect to see the pace of legalization continue to be rapid. So international markets are key, and international markets will really justify the level of interest and attention that has been on this industry thus far. And then from a value add product standpoint, it's very exciting to see that people will be able to access the products that they can already access either on the gray market or in more developed markets like the United States. We really do believe that that will open it up to a broader range of consumers. Our chief administrative officer, for example, is 51. He has more than 25 years in the regular force in the British Army. And when you ask him about consuming cannabis, if he has the opportunity to consume a de-alcoholized malt beverage with THC, and he can do so on the basis where he knows what the effect is going to be, he knows the onset and offset, and there's going to be limited calories and no downsides like there is with a standard beer, he's very excited about that product. And so even conservative individuals with backgrounds that wouldn't make you think they'd be excited about consuming cannabis are excited about the upcoming value-add products that are coming to market, either in late Q4 of 2019 or in the first quarter of 2020.
Yeah, and that's actually definitely going to be a question of mine, because I can only imagine the amount of opportunity that Canadian LPs are looking at come October 17th or 19th, I believe it is. And just, what's that really going to entail? They can change at any time. You never fully know, but there's a lot of different products, as you said, either in the gray market or what we're already seeing in the United States, and seeing that they're huge products. When you look at vaping, when you look at different types of drinks and different types of edibles, when you look at just soft gels and whatever have you, what type of focus do you believe your company really sees as something like, we really want to go into this field, whether it be drinks, whether it be edibles, candy, whatever it is? Is there one that really outshines the other, or is it an area where you're still contemplating and just waiting to see the actual regulations come through so you know exactly what you're dealing with?
I think really all of those products are going to be important to us. I think that when you look at the cannabis consumer, there will be a focus on natural health and wellness products. And as an example, we believe that our kombucha product with THC or CBD, and really with a CBD focus, will be a very popular product with consumers. The kombucha product that we have right now, which is not a THC or CBD product at the moment, has a fantastic flavor profile. It's an exceptional product, and we really believe that products with right flavor profile that are oriented towards health and wellness consumers will perform very well in the market.
Absolutely. Well, Andrew, I appreciate it very much. I already know, I always know how busy it is for a lot of these executives, because this space is ever changing. It's so aggressive. And I just appreciate the time that you take to answer a few of our questions, being able to give your time for investors who are looking more into who you are and what your company is doing. And if there's anyone watching this right now and they wanted to find out more information about you, whether it be an investor presentation or a website, where can they turn to find out more information?
They should go to Zenabis.com, and we have a full investor relations page. We have a very fulsome presentation. There's a lot of information that you can look at. There's some really cool videos, including one of our Langley facility build out, which is going amazingly well. And if you have never seen a 2.1 million square foot greenhouse, I strongly suggest you take a look at the video.
Absolutely. I have not, actually, so I will do that, because I have not seen one that large just yet, and it'll be very exciting to hear it coming on, because obviously, like we've said on numerous times throughout this interview, that's a game changer. That's a lot of cannabis. Looking forward to seeing what you do with all of that and the different agreements you're having, and look forward to seeing the updates coming from your company as well. So thank you again for coming on the show, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day as well.
Great. Thank you. Bye.
Andrew, thank you very much for doing the second interview with Brandon, even though that was your first one.
Yeah. No,
and
thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what? I know that company, that stock has been beaten down, but hey, maybe that's a signal of turn of events.
Yeah, time will tell, but there's definitely a lot there to look into. I've personally been looking into it just myself. I don't own anything, I'm not a client of FTMIG.com, but I've personally been looking into it because it has come down a lot. For a $300 million market cap to be doing 331,000 kilograms
let's look
by
into
third
why.
quarter.
Why?
It's pretty big.
Is there a bad financing in there or something? Why?
I don't know, Kawhi.
I
don't know. I'm gonna be saying that for the rest of my life. By the way, do we talk about Plant Guy to end this off?
Talk about Plant Guy.
No.
Let's go.
To end this off, Plant Guy got his quacktus to Kawhi in the march or in the parade, and Kawhi legitimately was smiling and laughing his ass off. Go on to social media, put in Coactus. It's actually trending on Twitter. It's a great moment. It's a great moment for sports.
Friends, we'll be back to the markets tomorrow, but you know what? We had to do it. Raptors, baby. We had it up for the last 3 weeks.
Behind your head. Go Raps, go.
I'm glad we did, man. We enjoyed the run, and you got to enjoy life. It's not always about the markets. Brandon, high five.
Yep. This is what winning feels like. I've never known. I've been a Toronto fan.
I'm a fun guy.
I hope he stays. All right, folks. We will catch you tomorrow. You want to give the goodbye wave or goodbye point?
Kawhi will take us out.
Okay.
I'm a fun guy.